You then move on to question 5, which is your own fieldwork, and that's where it becomes critical that you remember the title of your fieldworks. Okay, so it says here, for one of your fieldwork inquiries, so that's the human or the physical one, you can choose in this case, suggest how anomalies in your data could affect your fieldwork inquiry. You just have to actually state the fieldwork inquiry question of your research. Okay. And one of them is that it gives data that doesn't fit the rest of the pattern. It gives irregular data. It can be difficult to identify. It may show the need to investigate further. It makes it less accurate. 1 mark. You can't just make 2 of these statements. You have to explain them to get 2 marks. A1, A02, I've made a video on how to get perfect score in your geography exam. Okay, so if you were to say give data that doesn't fit in the rest of the pattern, that can lead to inaccurate results. Gives irregular data, that can impact the conclusions. That's a kind of knock-on effect or explanation of AO2 that you need to get your 2 marks. Okay, you then have, using the title of your human geography fieldwork, you have to give it here. In the case of Red and Green School, where we are, we looked at the whether the harborside regeneration in Bristol was successful and sustainable. It says justify one of the following human geography inquiry. So in this case here, the use of one of the following. So maps, photograph, field sketches, you can say something along the lines of, so if you were to take, say maps can be useful to compare different sites. Okay, it can show the location of the inquiry. It can be useful to put data on. It's a good visual appreciation of the area. It allows to get information quickly. And then you could say, well, this helps to show relationships. It helps to give clear representation of the site that was used to people. So you have to basically make a AO1 point, which are here. Then you have to make a AO2 point and a second AO2 point. So basically, if the bullet points, if you follow them, this is a perfect answer. For instance, useful to put data on, show links and relationships as a different data sets can be shown on one presentation technique that would apply for maps, for instance. Okay, you then have a 6 mark question here. Write title of physical geography fieldwork inquiry. We were looking at whether the Nan Phillip River in Margam Park was fit the Bradshaw model, and the current year 10s looked at whether the Hazel Brook would fit the current Bradshaw model. It's always usually about the Bradshaw model. Assess the effectiveness of your data collection methods. In this case, assess means you have to look at both sides, pros and cons. It means effectiveness, whether they work. So the best way to do it is to say, pick 3 different data collection methods and say, this is a data collection method, this is why it's good, however, this is why it's bad. And then you do that for the second, you get 4 marks, and for the third, you get 6 marks. I'm going to make a specific video for this 6 marker, so you can actually see how I'd break it down and write it up. I'll give you an example, but basically 3 data collection methods. Tell me the good, tell me the bad for each. You get 6 marks. Okay, and then the final one is final question here. Let's reload this paper. It's a 9 mark question on your fieldwork, and it says, for one of your fieldwork inquiries, to what extent did your results and conclusion meet the original aims of your inquiry? So you basically, in this question here, you have to actually, it says here, demonstrate a detailed evaluation of how the results link and support the original aim. So the key thing there is basically to say, what was the aim? Well, the aim of the fieldwork, I'm going to use the Bristol Harborside one, was to see whether the regeneration project was successful and sustainable. Okay, that's the aim. So the first thing you have to do in the first paragraph is present your results. Tell me the results, tell me what the limitations were, and then present the conclusions. Tell me what the evaluation part of the conclusions were, and overall tell me whether the results and conclusion match the aim of the inquiry, which was to see whether it was sustainable. Okay, if you did the physical geography one on the Bradshaw model, where you look at, right, does the river fit the Bradshaw model? You look at the aim is to see whether it does. So you talk about the results, same thing, talk about the limitations, then talk about the conclusions and say what you could do to improve in the future, and say, well, overall, our results and conclusion prove or disprove the Bradshaw model, and so either fulfill or don't fulfill the aim of our inquiry. Okay. That's for you to do, but again, I've done a specific video on that using the Bristol Harborside case study, so you can have a look at that specific video where I've got the 6 marker above and the 9 marker in much more detail. Okay, I hope this helps. More practice the better, but it's one of those exams where a lot of it relies on common sense, and if you were there on the trip, life's going to be much easier.